Okay, yeah. So I don't think you realize this is like it's kind of one of those moments for me where this has been like a culmination of years of work and just I kind of thought like, hey, maybe I'll do a podcast one day, and then here I am popped up in your apartment, and it just only felt suited. Like it felt fitting to me to have you as like a first guest because I think you started your business popped up in this exact apartment.
Yeah, on this table, which is ironic. Yeah, this is cool. I like doing this stuff. This is my second podcast ever, so I'm so hyped to just be part of it.
Honestly, man, as long as we're working together, I imagine there will probably be many, many more podcasts. James, you're on the wrong camera, by the way, aren't you? Here. Nope. Okay, well, this is actually a great segue. We can keep this in, and I'll tell you exactly why. I knew this was going to come up. I've always been like a one-man band. James has seen this because I've known James for a lot of years because he would be at a lot of the tournaments I would host back when I was doing gaming events. And I just would do everything myself. Set up, hosting stream hours, breakdown. I didn't even really let people wrap up cables. So it's like for me to like not be the person switching buttons and producing the show is like, it's tense for me. But meanwhile, it's like I already know James is more than capable. I mean, this guy's doing way more advanced editing than a live edit all the time, like even on your videos. So it's just like it's just a funny realization for me.
I get it. There's certain days at the burger shop, I have a couple extra guys there just to like help me out because I work a full-time job anyway. So I'm going 7 days a week, probably 13-hour days on the average, and I get to step back even when I don't have anything planned. It's like my day to just kind of step back, and I could be in there and they're doing their thing, and I'm kind of like, what could I do? But again, we're in a 5x5 space. It's not like I have a full restaurant where I'm like, oh, I could clean the windows or whatever. It's just, let's see what we could get it done. But again, like my right hand, Henry, like he knows exactly, like I think he's a better cook in the kitchen than I am. The kid knows his stuff regardless. And I think like I like the way my burgers come out, but there's something the way he does it that I'm like, oh, he kind of like took it to that little bit of an extra level. So I have full trust in both these guys, and it's funny because I just don't know what to do if I'm like just sitting there. Or the flip side of it is I have a friend who owns a couple pizza places in the city, and he said the best thing for me was to get out of the kitchen because over time, like you want your product to be very specific. Like, Henry knows how I like it made. I'm very specific on how it looks and everything, even how it's served to the customer. But when you own something, you're so dialed into going, it has to come out this way every time. And it does for the most part. But it's food, so there are imperfections in food. Like you might get a bubble on that slice of pizza, but at the end of the day, like if it tastes good and it still looks good, it'll be there. But you're always going to be just as bad. I remember the woman I grew up working for in the kitchen, Bella. We had the guys in the kitchen, they always did their thing. Bella go in the kitchen and it's coming out 10 times crazier. But like on just an elevated level because she knew what she wanted. And that's, when you're in control of things, you did gaming events, like you know how you want it. You might wrap that cord that way. You know how you're going to hook your stuff up and be organized and whatever. You're like a crazy person.
Yeah, I think a crazy person describes it well. And it's been years that accumulate. And the thing is with James is, like James has seen so many things I've produced at this point, just from being involved in it. Like these events would run like a sports broadcast. So you'd have like a player here, and then you have gameplay. Yeah. And like, James was one of those players, and throughout the time just got interested in, everyone's always a little interested in the stream to the point where it's like, oh, this is going up on YouTube, this is cool. And like that part's fun, but then when you get someone who's like interested, like James has always been like a film guy. So, I see him growing up and he's like, hey, let me do like a little montage for this event, or like, oh, this was pretty cool maybe. And it's like that kind of happened to a point where fast forward years, Master Hand's been an entity 8-9 years at this point. And, James literally in that time going to events, got through college, has a film degree. And here we are today set up in a podcast here. So that's what I was telling you is like, this is like years worth. But me taking hands off, I know I'm in good hands. Like even your edits, right? Like that's mostly James's, that's his handiwork. Like the guy knows film. And this is like, there's no reason he can't switch cameras. This is something I self-taught myself. Yeah. Which people don't realize how accessible media production is. But like as I fumbled over it for a little while, you do enough things and you learn how stuff works, right? Like you didn't go to culinary school, but you know how to cook a fantastic burger. you know how you want it to taste.
Yeah, I mean, again, but that was trial and error and meat recipes and, you know, different types of seasonings and all that. And like, just, I narrowed it down. I would have my friends here. I'm like, what do you think of these? You know, like literally just try it. Like I need like real validation here.
Well, that's where we started. I forget how many pop-ups you had, but in this exact apartment, you said you just have the homies over, you cook some burgers, some people would throw you some bucks out of appreciation, and then, you know, before I know it, we get a little video with you, a couple videos with you, and then suddenly you're like popped up in a bakery right around the corner from where we're at right now, and people really fuck with the burgers. They really like the burgers.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, it's still kind of insane. And, you know, even when I took 2 months off, people were like, where have you been? Like, where'd you go? Like, they lost something. And it's almost, the joke is almost like you have to do it now. And now I'm back, and it's fun to see people come in. And there's people I've never met before. And, like, I'm starting to know the faces, and sometimes I, you know, forget some of the people that come in. So my apologies that I've talked to you and may not recognize you when you come in. But, you know, they come in, they're like, oh man, I'm just stoked you're back. And I'm like, that's great. Those are the best compliments I could get. Like, as long as the food's good and the people like it and it's consistent, like, that's the best compliment I could get.
So you've gotten obviously a huge jump, and we've made videos where we showcase, like, you've been in the Asbury Park Press a couple times, you've been in other couple publications, and people generally know who you are, and it really hasn't been that long. I think that we popped up in your apartment, like a little over a year ago? Or not even a year. I don't think it's been a year yet. It hasn't been a year yet.
Yeah, I only went into the bakery in the beginning of August. So I started doing burgers in my apartment last January. So it's been a year since I'm doing burgers. And it's been like barely 6 months since I've been in the bakery. And it's a learning, every month, every day is a learning experience.
And what I see, at least in yours, like, well, I don't think people understand. They'll see you, they'll see the brand, and they're just like, wow, this is really cool. And they probably, I don't know how people look at you, and it doesn't matter. Maybe they see you as a chef, maybe they see you as something else. But just for me, and for the sake of this podcast, where I know a lot of cool people. We're in an area that is very much like a bubble where a lot of these cool people even know each other or a degree away from each other. So I thought a podcast is like, what perfect way to kind of, I know all the people, and I see like the just little links here and there. Mm-hmm. It feels like a great segue because we met up at Pipe Dreams over on Memorial, and that was our first introduction. And yeah, I think that must have been January, February last year. And then before you know it, we're running. And now you have a business that is fleshed out, really good media already, and a lot of that's just on you. This is what I kind of digress from the point. Like, you're a marketer, you know how to do this stuff. So it's not like you're just like, oh, burgers are really good. Like, you know, there was some calculation there. And I'm like, you know, I see that.
There's definitely calculation. There's, you know, as you mentioned, I'm a marketer. So once we met, and shout out to Kareem for the intro.
Yes.
Once we met and we just started talking, I was like, all right, cool, let's just shoot some stuff and see what it does, you know. And I had made the Instagram, and, you know, I chose a lot of the, like, the way the logo is and the colors, like, partially those things mean something to me, and it's general personal interest, like Chicano style graffiti for the Little Andy's part, and the script is Dodgers script, you know. And then I did like LA Dodgers colors because it's LA, and I love everything about California. Ironically, the name Little Andy's, the acronym is LA, so it just happened that way. Like, that wasn't planned, but again, like, you know, you look at the content I put out online. I use a lot of like wrestling and 80s pop culture stuff. And the idea is comedic. Like, I love finding old videos of Ultimate Warrior because he's such a nut. And like, you could just clip it. And I'm like, it has nothing to do with cheeseburgers. It's just funny.
Ultimate Warrior is dope. Yeah. Like, I think that there's definitely, I know, like, our threshold of like kind of age range, like, everyone was a fan of wrestling at least once. And those guys, I can't think of more distinct personalities. I love seeing that stuff pop up.
Yeah, so it was like that mixed with pop culture, mixed with, like, you know, finding a photo of old Jack Nicholson eating a cheeseburger at a Knicks game, like, whatever. It's just to make people laugh. But the idea is, like, I'm always going to tie it back to be like, hey, listen, this is going on over here, but we're open from, you know, 4 to 10 tomorrow. and then again, like the music that I like and just everything around it, you know.
So with that in mind, like there's definitely a big motif there just in West, like kind of that California culture, lifestyle, so to speak. And the thing I really like about Little Andy's, and the thing that I think we gravitated and kind of connected on immediately when you were doing these pop-ups and we were doing some videos for you, is you're building a community. Like, and this isn't just like a Little Andy's community. I mean, it is, but it's like you got your friends who surf, you got your friends doing jiu-jitsu, you got your friends just, from town, and you have a way of making a cool environment, whether it be in your place or in a bakery, where you're bringing this kind of multicultural within this already little diverse region we live in. And I think, to me, being a successful brand, you have to do that. Unless you have like buku dollars to throw at marketing and all kinds of pretty things, there's no way around to being organically present. And that is just something that I just want to say, like, I super appreciate with like Little Andy's.
Yeah, dude, I appreciate it. Just hearing that. Yeah, the community, especially since I moved back, I kind of grew up around Asbury. My grandmother lived here. Moved my father here in the mid to late 2000s. I lived here for a little bit before I went west. But again, saw the change. I was part of everything with the shows growing up and Cookman when it wasn't even a place you would go to. So I was in it. Like, all that was happening. And, now it's great. Like, there is money that came into the area. It really supports the growth of the town. And, that does come with change. But there is still a culture here. There's still a lot of people that grew up here, people that are more ingrained in the culture than I am. But at the end of the day, between the friends I've made, the people I've known within the town, the cool thing that's been happening, and what the burger thing's been doing, is introducing me to more people. So other business owners, other, just other artists, photographers, whoever it may be. And that's why, like, it's fun. Like, the whole idea is just like, great, we have these synergies, like, let's figure out something together. So, this is the segue where I go, I'm going to self-promote here, but like, Ray owns Off the Rails Printing. He's been doing a lot of like my sweatshirts and stuff, and Ray's the man. He's got a 6-spot where he has the printing in the back, and the front of house is like a skate shop essentially. And we were just talking, and it turns out he knows like 15 different people I know. I don't know how him and I never ever met.
That's
like,
how it is around here.
Yeah, but it's like guys I work with at my day job. He's like, do you know this dude? And I'm like, yeah, I work directly with him, and he lives up north. Like, I only know this guy because of work. So we have like 10 degrees of separation, but yet we've never met till randomly. So we were like, let's just have a party. So we are having a free party. It's going to be May 3rd. More details to come on that. We're creating a flyer, but it's literally free burgers, some music. We've got my friends from Crooked Tea and Crooked Marker sponsoring it, and then a couple other people involved. So it's just come out, have a good time. We're going to do it for a few hours, and it's just like a low-key kickback, It's all free. So it's one of those things where we want to build a community. And I randomly like told a couple people, and they're like, yeah, no one does stuff like this anymore.
And that's our bread and butter. I mean, you already gave us our invite, so it's like we'll definitely be there. And I was even talking to getting creative on the media side because again, this has been a culmination of work. And I mean, you see the setup, right? I mean, there's people who have whole studios for this, and
yeah,
we just popped up. And like I said, I actually really like that about your business, and it's something I've been doing in my own business, from gaming tournaments, whenever you just pop up. And I think even just doing that, allowing things to really speak for themselves in context, when you even just put a little camera or audio on them, and even just getting some of the Little Andy's events, because you guys did something at a jiu-jitsu gym.
Yeah, the guys at Lucky Cat. Yeah. We're talking about another one now, maybe for, the spring. Yeah, we came up with a concept called Burgers and Beatdowns, and again, that was last summer. We were just talking, or like, we should do some with cheeseburgers. Like, it's called Burgers and Beatdowns. So like, your brain doesn't turn off, and it doesn't. Like, it's always going. I don't know why.
Well, you're creating with a purpose, and I do see that, and I think, like, I genuinely believe in my heart of hearts, like, that is why community building is important in a business, and it's why I kind of, like I said a little earlier, I mentioned this, why I even started this podcast, because just getting some media out, letting people understand who you are, how you talk, and I'm not talking about edited stuff, because there's a lot of stuff out there that is highly edited, or even just procured in a certain way.
Yeah.
Scripted, and it doesn't have to be that way because there's so many people in this area that just have really cool operations going on. They just no one really knows about them, or there's so much. So it's really just a conversation away from having like even just like a sound bite of just like, oh yeah, I do this. There's a party coming up, or oh we do. And I think for me that is the big major goal of this because there's so many connections that are made in this little area here.
You don't know where it's gonna go. I had a buddy reach out to me recently. He's a very close friend. He lives down in Florida. He goes, I need to connect you with this guy. I was randomly talking about you. He knows all about. We've done business together. We have a consulting business together. And he's like one of my best friends. But he goes, I met this person. He was an angel investor in this drink company, very prominent drink company that everyone drinks right now. Because he gave them the first round funding, and he just loves to do startups. And he's like, I'm gonna connect you with him because I want you to, like, maybe there's something there. And it's like those things just happen. You know, you go to a party, you can meet so and so, and then the next thing you know, you guys are in the same room together, figuring it out together. Like that's the biggest thing about, you know, again, whether it's community or just like live events or networking events, like these are things that I would see in the city. And for years, when I was living up there, like, yeah, I would go out and I'd meet so-and-so, and then the next thing would happen. Or maybe I get a piece of business from them. And that was kind of the grind and kind of how it was part of like became the makeup of where I was at. But you never know where it's going to go.
You're touching on something actually that I really like, and it's kind of just like going with the flow, which is just the base level of it. But especially around here, you don't realize how many people you sync up with. Just think people work on the same things or just similar interests. And the really powerful part of that is it really does just take a visual or a sound, and suddenly it's like you kind of activate something.
Yeah.
And I believe that because I've seen that with a lot of our old, like we have a friend group of these guys who've been going, you know, again, just for reference, I've known James since he's 15, 16, guy, you know, fast forward 10 years doing the whole thing. We still have like the same friend group, and a lot of that is mostly because these guys were all like, they just all fell on like my YouTube channel, which is like, it's a dead channel right now. I'm going to revive it with this podcast and kind of turn it over. But you know, we're talking about tournament footage from like years ago. So you have two people who might never see each other for 5 years, but you have this moment in time where they were playing each other. There was a result. There's other people who knew them, and then we could watch this right now. We'll watch it in call on a screen share, and people are, you know, it's like you never left the moment.
Yeah.
So it's like a really unique way, and that's like for me personally. I come from live broadcast. I'm a huge believer in live broadcasts, especially with AI and stuff like that. We need real stuff. It's so easy to just make stuff. Where the real things, like they're kind of not hidden, but they're a little bit hidden.
Yeah, there's always an angle. You know, again, my background's marketing, so I've done product placement and stuff, and finesse some stories with certain things over the years of like, you know, it's kind of like the Netflix thing where they go, oh, we're gonna start putting blocks that you can only use it in one household and you can't share their password. Well, they still never officially figured that out, but what they did was they played it so that they get a boost in subscriptions, which means whatever quarter they were in, they go, okay, we have to go to investors and like, what's the idea? They go, let's say we're going to put this out there. They put an article out there that's not essentially fake, but it was a scare tactic. And then the next thing I know is my mom's going, I'm not going to use Netflix password anymore. I'm going to sign up because they're going to block it anyway at some point. They still haven't done it. They just go, oh, we noticed that there's one using it not from your IP address. And you could just say, okay, no problem, and they'll just be able to use it, you know? So they got a larger bump in subscriptions, which means their market value went up and their profit went up. So that's one of those like sponsored posts or something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that too, and I know there's just so many ways to artificially inflate posts. When it comes
all that
to,
too.
And that's one of those things that I think it looks good. If you're someone who runs a business, you're like, oh wow, look at these engagements. Even if you know they're not good, there's something that goes in your head.
Yep.
But when you release a piece of organic marketing, like stuff we've made for Little Andy's and even like with the Lucky Cat spot, that is not even a thing because you just have your people you know who are just going to actively support. They're like, oh wow, I see Mike on the screen. He's talking. He's telling me this stuff. Like, I was like, what Mike's doing, and that's like a whole different reach. And it doesn't matter if that hits 1 million people or 10 people. It's the people who are going to walk in, buy a burger, and then see you next week.
Yeah, that's it. The return on your customer is huge, and especially with the food industry. And that's where, you know, when I talk to anyone, like, yeah, I love doing this. Like, I basically am creating a brand so I could have fun with it. It's really a passion project.
I think that's the point I lost track of before is the lifestyle end of this stuff, where it's a little stressful up front. Where does the money come from? How do people get paid? It's one of those things that's like always an elephant in the room. And us as media guys will see so many, again, pieces of content online, sponsored, where it's just like, don't work for free. And I'm just like, what world are we living in? Like, at some point, especially when you're starting something. Like, there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into starting a business, but having that lifestyle, where it's like you're taking a wash for a year or two maybe financially, but like you are living in a way that feels good. You feel like you're doing something or whatever the case may be. You're just scratching some kind of itch you have. Like that's like a real value, just being in that environment.
That's it. Like, dude, I haven't taken one paycheck for myself since I started this thing. Like everything I've done, you know what I do to pay myself? I literally will be like, all right, I'll buy myself coffee on the corporate card. So like I take like maybe $3 a day to buy a coffee. So like the guys that work for me get paid, the landlord gets paid, I gotta buy some food, they get paid, I gotta pay my taxes. Like I don't take a dollar out of this thing. And it just sits there, you know, because I'm gonna have to cover my ass. If I have a slow week or a slow month, that needs to carry me. So I know the amount of money that I really need to sustain in that bank account to know that, okay, I'm good for a month or two. Like then I could take maybe a little bit of money, but I haven't taken one paycheck out of this thing since I put it in the baby.
You kind of can't, especially you're so fresh in startup mode too.
I'm not losing money, which is the biggest part.
Huge.
Yeah, I talk to so many people that are like, oh, you're not even losing money, then you're ahead of the game. I'm like, great, because it's self-sustaining.
And you're in a place too where it's easy to lose money with overhead. Like being physically present where you're doing food and other stuff, like that's like a lot of overhead.
Dude, it's it's a lot. And you know, I'm not even, again, this whole thing is bootstrapped. It started in my apartment. The way I'm doing it now, it's bootstrapped. Like, I have fold-out tables. I don't have proper countertops in the place. You know, I don't have real fryers. Like,
well, what's funny about that too is, and like, I'm gonna reference some of our old videos because that's low key my own shill about this podcast. But like, you'll see like in some of those old videos, like you are literally propped up on this exact same table with just like one of those fryers stovetops that go up and down.
Yeah.
And you just make it happen. Like it kind of doesn't matter. And even what we're doing now, like we have super cool equipment, but like this is like a minutia of what in my mind we have. You know what I mean? Like we could be formidable. We could put something out there. But final form, no. And to get the final form, like you gotta save. Like you gotta make your pennies count, and just sort of create your own opportunities. Really.
Yeah, that's it. You know, I hope there's a day I could turn around and go, man, remember when it was in my living room, and like now I actually have a storefront. Now I could actually leave my day job and work for myself. You know, and that's still the tip of the iceberg. Once I get that store as a well-oiled machine, I really see it moving. Then I want to open another one. But it all has to come with the value in the brand that the product needs to be good. It needs to be consistent.
Absolutely.
If that's not it, if it's not that, the rest of it falls on its face. So, you know, the idea is to have, when people think of Little Andy's, they know it's good product. Like you're not getting McDonald's.
This is probably one of the cooler things that we've experienced. I mean, I speak for me, but I feel like I can speak for James on this, is we'll be somewhere, and this actually even happened in Soulcraft, where people don't even necessarily know the connection or the relation, but you're a degree or 2 degrees away from knowing you or me or whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, have you heard of this place, Little Andy's? And then they show you the video, or they reference the video, be like, we made that video. Like, of course I know Little Andy's. And like to that's probably been one of the cooler things to happen for us. And it's one of those things, people just have to know what you do and how you operate. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit trailing now. I know we're probably getting close to time. I guess, what's the one, I kind of want to think of one last thing we could mention before we really wrap up here. But you already kind of mentioned where you're thinking of going in the future. You already kind of mentioned, you know, we got a party, so we'll see you there.
Party, yep.
Probably within a month. And what was that date again?
It's going to be May 8th. May 3rd.
May 3rd.
Times to be determined. It's a Saturday, but just keep an eye on the account for the flyer, because once it's out, I'll post it all over the place.
And I mean, this podcast set up, just for reference before we close out here, like I've been doing podcasts for a lot of years. This is the first one I've really done in person like this, like literally the first one. And I have countless hours at this point of just like remote podcasts. Get this guy from Midwest on a call with this guy in Europe and mix it and stuff. So there's so much experience there where now it's like we have the physical equipment to do it, because I never wanted to pop one up when things look subpar or just with like a crappy camcorder. And now I don't. So it's like even at that party, I don't know, well, maybe we'll be clever. We'll find some way to you know, I don't want to promise. I don't know what'll turn out, but you know, there's just so much possibility even there. But
Yeah, and I would even say, like, maybe not me, talk to Ray. Ray's the man. Him and I just clicked. He's a great dude. It's going to be in a space. Once you see his space, you're going to be like, this is pretty sick. But, like, dude, have Ray on the podcast. He's the man, dude. Like,
well, maybe
he's a savage, that guy.
maybe we go there next, and that'll be cool. We could talk about it after the show. But I do want to thank you a lot for taking the time. I know you are actually quite busy. You got another job, and you're on your way to somewhere now. So you taking this time, very much appreciate.
Yeah, I want to shout out my girlfriend. What's up, Sam?
Let's go.
Clip that.
We'll clip that.
Clip that.
We'll clip that in particular, and we'll make sure
Going
that
over
you
to
have
her
that
place.
this end. Yeah.
She's the best.
But all right, man. I guess that's it. Barring unless you have any other final notes.
No, man, I just appreciate it. And to be number one's pretty cool. I just hope it sounds great when I'm watching it later or listening back to it.
You and me both. I think that this whole time I'm saying a lot of stuff. I'm talking a kind of way. I haven't seen myself in camera in a minute, so I don't really know what to expect. But I just knew I had to dive in this with you for everything we talked about already. I mean, this is how we start.
Yeah, I'm stoked, dude. Let's just keep doing it.
Sick.